like it's way deeper than just the money. I used to be excited to have a conversation about the money until it's like, we're making money. Okay, so what else are we doing? He has a child. Our children are a couple months apart. I'm going to birthday parties, man. Like, how are we gonna get these kids growing up together, man? Like, he's super important to me.
That's good.
Yeah.
And I think back to in my story, there were people that I can point to, my wife being one of the greatest.
Your wife's awesome.
And yeah, she is.
She made my wife feel really comfortable at that.
Yeah, well, she's the nicest person on the planet Earth.
Yeah.
And she sometimes does stuff. She goes, "You still think I'm nice?" I'm like, "Well, except for that, like, you're the nicest person." But she's one of the people in my life. And I think back, there's also some negative influences. There are people that did terrible things to me and that put me in terrible positions, or haters like you talked about, that motivated me to be who I am today.
In today's ultra-competitive business world, being a successful entrepreneur or business owner can be very challenging. Fortunately, contemporary times have blessed us with resources for tackling those challenges and getting us to success more quickly than we could have imagined. Welcome to The Root of All Success with the real Jason Duncan, a podcast that explores how the world's most powerful entrepreneurs grow incredible companies. This podcast looks at the 5 keys to unlocking success as an entrepreneur. A successful educator turned entrepreneur, Jason's mission is to use his gifts of teaching and leadership to help others get the results they want out of life. Join Jason every week and learn the keys to grow a truly successful business.
Well, welcome back to the show. I'm the real Jason Duncan. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to The Root of All Success. I do this show to help you as an entrepreneur learn what people like my guest today, Alphonso, I'll introduce him in a minute, how they became so successful. So today's show is not any different than the rest. We're going to talk with another amazingly successful entrepreneur about how he built such a successful company, how he lives a successful life as a husband, as a father, as a business owner. We're going to talk about all that stuff. But let me say this before we get into the intro of Alphonso today. I want to thank you for listening, as I already said, but also if you watch this, you can go to youtube.com/TheRealJasonDuncan and you can watch this episode. We're recording at the Standard at the Smith House here in Nashville, Tennessee. It's 18,000 square feet of Southern sophistication and style. It's a great private club. That's actually where I met our guest for today. Alphonso and I met here at the club. We're both members, and after coming to know him and spending some pretty cool, he's a funny dude. You're gonna like this guy. Talking about some cool stuff. And I thought, you need to be on the show. You got a great story. You need to come on the show. But thank you for watching on YouTube. Thank you for subscribing. And if you haven't left me a review, it would mean a lot to me if you'd go do that. And here's why. Because the reviews on podcasts are like currency. If you put a review, and those higher reviews get us higher to the list on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple iTunes, whatever, and more people see the show, more people can learn, etc. I would love to say it's currency for me, but I don't make any money. This it costs me a lot of money to put this show on, but I love doing it because I want to help people like you figure out success. All right, with all that being said, let me tell you about today's guest. It's Alphonso Harvey. Alphonso Harvey is a great dude here in Nashville. He's born actually in North Carolina, raised in Florida. We were just talking about that a moment ago, where he's from in Florida. My wife and I spent some time last year in that area. But he's raised in Florida, came to Nashville to play football at Vanderbilt. And he got his undergrad degree at Vanderbilt. He got an MBA from Regis University. And he has a company called Music City Med, Inc., where he sells medical devices for expecting mothers, which is a really interesting thing because last I checked, people are still getting pregnant and having babies. And so it's like a never-ending stream of people that need his medical equipment and services. And we'll talk a little bit about how he got into that, why he does that, and how he became so successful at it. But the thing that he's most proud of is that he is a husband and he is a father, and he's got some exciting news about his fatherhood and things that are going on in his life. But the other cool stuff about his story is he's been top 40 under 40 here in Nashville. He's won many awards with the Catalyst Award at the Entrepreneur Center here in Nashville. With the SBA Scale Up program. The guy's no slouch. He's a very successful, amazing entrepreneur, and I'm glad to welcome him to the Root of All Success today. So, Alphonso,
Hey, man.
Glad to have you here, man. I'm so glad we're doing this.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, and we're having a little guidance old fashions here. We know guidance, right?
Yes,
know
we embrace guidance.
We embrace it. So let's start with this, man. So I want to talk most about your entrepreneurial journey.
Sure.
But one of the things that you are most proud of, and you talked about it, is that you are a husband and father, and you're very committed. And I had the pleasure, my wife and I, at the last event here at the club, got to sit and eat with you and your wife.
Yep.
And I went back, got ice cream, and you guys decided not to do the
liquor and ice cream. It's not a good pair.
So tell me about when did you meet your wife, and tell that story real quick.
So that's awesome. I met my wife 10 years ago at a concert, because at the time I was doing concert promotion. I've always been an entrepreneur guy, even when I was working in corporate America. And so I was the straight guy. I would call and hey, at concerts you give away tickets. And I was the guy who said, hi, Tanisha, I'm here to pick up these tickets. Beautiful woman. I was trying to be the one guy that didn't try to talk to her. But anyways, we did the show. Show was successful. And I asked her for lunch a week later. And of course, she was still very guarded, and I was opening doors and throwing jackets down on the sidewalk, man, just trying to impress this woman. And we met then. We dated other people in between, but it was very funny because from 2012 to now, we've spent every birthday together. For some reason, whether I'm taking her out for hers or she's coming to the place where mine, but we became a couple in 2015 and a family in 2019, and we got married in 19. It's like the best decision ever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you got kids.
Yeah, got a namesake, and he runs the house. And then we have a little member on the way. We don't know the sex yet, but they're all a blessing. So, I mean, life's pretty good.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you come from the Daytona Beach area, kind of that, is that right?
Daytona Beach.
Yeah, Daytona Beach, and you moved to Nashville for Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
And you came up here to play football primarily, is that right? Is that
Yeah,
the story?
yeah. I was a nationally recruited player. I had about 35 offers when I was coming out, but I chose Vanderbilt because there was three guys from the neighborhood. My high school homecoming queen came here at the same time. So it was like four of us up here, and it was the best school that was closest to home. And I had an opportunity to play in the SEC. So that was really cool. Being somewhere where my parents could come and travel to some of the games or come to Nashville, that was awesome. And then the education was life-changing too. So
yeah, Vanderbilt obviously is known to be one of the top schools for education, not necessarily known to be top schools in football.
That's
I think
changing.
That's
That's
changing. And listen, being from Nashville myself, I always have rooted. I want the home team. I
Sure.
want the home team to win. So, what did you play? What position?
I was a defensive tackle and defensive lineman. Just had a ball with it. Ended up starting better part of 3 years while I was there, and got to play against 21 first-round picks. I did sack Tim Couch twice in the game.
All right.
So I didn't suck.
Well, good for you, man.
But it was fun. But that was kind of the makings of a man kind of period. It was my gauntlet, my initial gauntlet. Then I experienced a few more later on in life. But I realized from my collegiate days, if I could get past being a starter to going to a backup on scout team and working my way back to being a starter, I wasn't going to be defeated, regardless of what happened in life.
So what did you chose Vanderbilt out of all the offers and opportunities.
Yep.
What did you study when you were at Vanderbilt?
Undergrad, organizational development. Back then they had a 29-hour business administration minor. It made absolutely no sense to do that. But when you got in the organizational development program, you learned about how you were motivated, how you motivated small groups, the norming, storming, performing, resolution of groups, group behavior. So I learned how to be a leader. It really they really challenged you to learn what your personal leadership style was, how you're motivated, how you motivate people, and then kind of the capstone is you went and did an internship. So for me, I'm a guy that takes advantage of my opportunities. So at Vanderbilt, I graduated in 3.5 years, but I never took more than 12 hours because I was up here in summer school every year.
Yeah.
Just learning the system. Vanderbilt was really the first place where I learned systems and how to interact within systems. Know what the parameters are so that you can maneuver through those. And that really has stayed with me since.
Well, you didn't finish there. You went and got an MBA at Regis.
Yeah, yep. I utilized when I was a corporate guy, they had those great reimbursement programs for grad school. So for 2 years, I didn't watch Sunday football. And I got it done. Regis is a great Jesuit school based out of Denver, Colorado. I actually had a chance in 2019 to go visit the campus because I was a distance learner. I was in that initial wave of online learning. But I got to visit the campus. I was pretty glorious. So it was good. It all was part of my story.
You have an interesting mantra about life. What's your mantra?
Oh, there are no problems, just unfound solutions.
I've heard you say that before and didn't really realize that was kind of your thing until I was prepping for the show. But that's really interesting. How did you come up with that?
Well, I mean, I learned it from a guy that I didn't really like a long time ago. He irritated me to a point of moving from my present position to being something greater. But that was his thing. It was, there are no problems, just unfound solutions. And when I sat back and thought about that, I'd kind of been practicing that my whole life. First, the earliest memory is my dad forgot to pick me up from basketball camp. And I had to figure out how I was going to get home.
That's an unfound solution.
Yeah, but I had to figure it out. I had to make the adjustment. And, in business, you have to pivot. You got to move like a snake. Got to be able to pivot. You got to be able to move quickly at times and thoughtfully at others when you have a little bit more time to plan. So kind of the lessons that were in my formative years, they really still had relevancy even later on. The kid, dealing with children, you always have something that changes. And it's supposed to be A, B, C, D. It may go A to Z to F, back to B.
Yeah, it's not linear. Yeah.
No, you just have to keep going. So I'm motivated in that way, and I'm not a person that takes defeat. I'm going to learn in my losses, but I keep going. I just keep going.
That's great, man. So you didn't go straight from Vanderbilt to Regis to entrepreneurship. You stopped along the corporate route for a long time, actually. So tell me about that. How did you get into the corporate thing?
Ton of value learned in a corporate environment where people could spend millions of dollars on developing my skill set. Like most kids getting out of college back then, I needed a job. And the first job I took led me to corporate America. I was actually it was an entrepreneurial job where I ran a moving company. And I literally was given an office and a yellow page, and I was told to call people to find business.
No, there's a lot of people who don't know what the yellow pages are, Alphonso.
Man.
Come on.
I know. Yellowpages.com. It used to be a book.
It used to be a book. They would deliver it and leave it in your driveway or on your front porch.
Yes, and if you didn't pick it up, you had this soaking wet glob of paper. But they gave me that in the phone, and I found my way. That experience on my resume allowed me to interview for more jobs when I went back to Vanderbilt and went to the Career Center, because I was like, I can't do this forever. But I got that job in June after graduating in May, and by November, I was hired at UPS, and I bring up UPS because that was 15 years of my life. And the cool thing was when I got hired November 1st, it was a week before they went public. And during that time, there were people had been given stock privately as part of their compensation. Well, good old UPS did a 6-for-1 split before they went public and then opened at their original sales price. So you had people that overnight became multimillionaires. I've never seen in 8 days of work, and people went from probably $250,000 up to 1.5. And I was like, man, this is a magical time to be here. It also let me know that I would never make that kind of money there, but I need to get skills from here so that I can take it when I go do my own thing.
Yeah. So corporate life was mostly at UPS.
Yeah, I had 6 different careers there. It was great. Started out as an industrial engineer in that world for 6 years, and then I did other jobs. The greatest job I had was being in sales. That's really where I got to fly. And when you're in a corporate environment, trust me, we want great employees. Every business owner wants great employees. But there's also a cap on that for you. And I'll never forget this, Jason. There was a guy, he was selling Assurion. And Assurion just came to Nashville. They spent $55 million on shipping. And I think this guy got a $300K commission check, which they changed the rules after that, right? And that kind of led me down the path that I'm on now, which was I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was scared to make that jump, but I sold an account that spent $1 million with me in 3 months, and I got a $5K bonus check. I was like, this is
$5,000.
Yeah, this is economic disparity. Okay, I'm obviously pretty good at doing some of this stuff. I need to be compensated for it. Yeah. And that really, really that shook me out the nest. And I said, man, I can't undervalue who I am or what I can do. Let me figure out where I can get to that's going to help me kind of maximize my opportunities in life.
So what year was that when you kind of made
that? And this is, you'll find this a lot of entrepreneurs too. I was 35. About 35 is when the light kind of comes on for people that have been well taken care of, corporate people, right? About 35, you're ready to make a move. So that was almost 10 years ago now. And I said, I went back to the source, went back to Vandy, called my old teammates. Because at Vandy, most football players, they go be PE coaches. At Vanderbilt, you're going to go be a pharmaceutical rep, or you're going to go like sell life insurance or be a money guy. And then down the road, there's somebody that's a coach. Nothing wrong with that, but people have the ability to help you make a handsome living. So I started talking to my pharma buddies. And I realized in that industry, they go to market 2 ways. One is they pay you to go to their school to learn that one drug. They pay you a salary, put variables in the matrix, and you're going to make $100 to $300K based off of commission. Or you're the person that has the relationships in the community, and the marketing budget that they would spend to bring that product to market, they'll put that in the commission pool. So you can make 40, 50% off of what you bring if you're that guy or gal. So I went that route because I already had a job, and I started carrying some products that were very lucrative. I didn't quite believe in them because it was just too much money being made off this stuff. But along that path is what led me into medical equipment, because I found out a friend of mine had a business that was in that industry after I responded to an ad. It's a great thing about corporate America. They'll teach you how to hunt, teach you how to find, how to navigate to the people you want to get to. So I found the person I needed to and realized it was a lifelong friend. It was his business. And we sat down, had a conversation at a Panera Bread. It was supposed to be 30 minutes, turned into 4 hours, and the rest is history.
And you didn't know him before that? Because I think I know who you're talking about.
I didn't know he did that. We were hangout buddies.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know he did. I didn't know.
That's interesting. Now, see, that's an interesting part of the story. So we're talking about Jason Rigel.
Yes.
Right? So Guidance, the proprietor of Guidance. Jason's been on the show. Also a friend of mine through the Standard.
Yes.
So you knew Jason, but not the fact that he was an entrepreneur doing medical devices.
Man, I saw an ad with a nice looking young lady jogging with a good knee brace on. And and it said liked by Jason. And I inboxed him immediately. That's what salespeople do, is we find who the source is. I said, hey man, do you know anything about this company? And he said in his fashion, dude, it's my company. And I was like, dude, I need to meet with you. And it has gone from that. We said we're going to buy a Panera Bread one day, just because
that's where you met.
that's 4 hours of deep dive, showing me the business, me showing him what I was doing, and then making a decision to kind of move forward in a great partnership.
And is that when you started Music City Med?
Mm-hmm.
And what was your first? What were you selling? What was your product?
So back in the day, I was pushing these pharmacies, specialty boutique pharmacies. They would find drug reps that had a community that they could sell to, and would tell that drug rep to bring this product to my community. And it would be something compounded. It would be all FDA approved stuff, but the pharmacist would compound it for a different iteration of that. So you may have like a lidocaine, or you may have a pain cream or a scar cream, or all of that stuff that was back in vogue from like 2010 to 2015. And it was paying. It was highly lucrative. The patients really liked it. But whenever you make too much money in something, it's going to get regulated. Mm-hmm. So I saw the end before the end came, and I wanted something I could believe in. My parents have always, my dad in particular, God rest his soul, he always believed in homeopathic, holistic medicine. So, if you got sick, it was a hottie toddy. It was, you're going to smell like a locker room because he's going to put that tiger balm on you. And he always would use like knee braces and stuff. So I wanted to get into something like that was non-invasive, but also had, people can tell you, man, my knee brace helps me feel better. It's like, you can't doubt that a crutch is going to help you if your leg is bothering you.
Right.
I wanted to be able to sell stuff that had the name recognition, but also wasn't so controversial, because I don't need to go to Hawaii on every sale. Let me go to the beach up here in Rayon City? Yeah, let me go there all the time, man.
That's funny.
Man, I've been there. I'm telling you. Right off the power plant. Yeah, that water's safe. Anyways.
But you did, Jason helped you get into the business. You were selling the FDA approved drugs for scars and pain. But then you're like, well, I want to do something a little different. And where did you go from there? Was it actually into braces and crutches and that type of devices?
It was into the orthosist, into the palliative care, which is just supportive. Post-surgery, want to help you get back to your healthy life. And that's a wide book. That's geriatric. That's, people post-surgery. I mean, you're carrying everything.
Who were you selling to?
Yeah, old folks that needed walkers.
To the users, to the
end
users.
Yeah, I was going to consumers.
Now, how do you find, how does that work? Do they just look you up in the yellow pages and find you, or what? How does that work?
This is why I'm a patient acquisition savant.
Yes, I heard about this.
I am really good at this because it was born out of necessity. And it was also, people think stuff you do in your youth doesn't translate in your 30s and 40s. Let me tell you something. Being a club promoter in college, party promoter, that skill set can translate. If you know how to attract people, if you know how to engage people and get a market and have a predictable outcome, if you know that if I do X, Y, and Z as part of my rollout, and I know I'm going to get this result, man, you have a predictable business model. Take that, apply it somewhere where it's going to make you more money. That's all I did.
I love it.
That's all. I'm telling you, that's all I did. I took that, how you engage people, and during those times, of course, you're touching people on the shoulder, you're handing out a leaflet. Okay, how can we do that in a healthcare environment? How can we build community and understand and educate a bunch of people and help them be able to onboard into your system? And that's what made me somewhat of a maverick, because people during that time, when I got started, they would buy data. They would buy leads, which is illegal. You can't do that. You You got to generate your own stuff, especially when you're dealing with like Medicaid, Medicare. Can't do that. People have to come to you. And I took the very long road. But once you build, as like you're doing here, you're building an audience, you're building a following. Well, those people tell other people, and they tell other people. And then you throw some new marketing on top of that.
So you went from the pain and the scar creams and stuff
Right.
like that to devices. But are you still doing devices, or is
Yeah. So we do devices, but the pivot point for me was there's a rapper that always says he's the first into doing something. I think it's Soulja Boy. I was the first rapper to do. In this DME space, I was one of the first guys that had relationships with call centers. I brought them the opportunity to carry my book of business, to talk to people that had responded to their advertisements. And all of that was born out of being an account executive at UPS and seeing what Medical Direct Club did, because they were my key client that took me from where I was to elevate me to other places. And they were buy a bunch of advertisement, get people to call in, get these catheters, these supplies. And I saw that and I said, man, I can do something better. And I think I did.
Yeah. Well, now your focus, from what I can tell, is mostly for devices for expecting mothers.
Right.
So how did you do that? We're going to take a break from our show right now to bring you our sponsors. All right. Thanks for listening to our sponsors. Now back to the show.
So that's a great question. So, I told you I met my wife in 2012. We started dating seriously in 15. And from that time, one of the things I love about my wife is she is a phenomenal supporter of whatever I do. And so she would get my equipment, right? And she'd get it, and some of it she could use, some of it she just got it. I appreciated that because everything counted back then when I was getting rolling. We got pregnant, and it hit me we were pregnant and getting married in the same year. And what changed my life was we were high risk, and we went from having to fly, from being able to fly home to get married, 3 hours of transportation time, to having to do a 21-hour road trip, a round trip, because she couldn't fly. And during that time, I was like, man, this is where my life is now. At the same time, my wife was using the products, and I was like, babe, why are you using that now? Because she had it 3 or 4 years. And her response was, because it makes me feel better. Light bulbs went off. If it's her feeling better, maybe other expecting moms can benefit from this too. So that led me to, I had a lot of time because she likes to drive. I was on the other side with the hotspot on, reading the 22 immutable laws of branding. I refocused the business, created a new naming to directly connect with consumers, and I had a product that I was going to sell them. So the brand went from Music City Med to Help to Moms, because it helped my mom, my wife.
Yeah.
Right? And we created a pregnancy support kit. It's based off the products we had already been carrying. Repackaging. That's what it was.
Same stuff, just different perspective, different offer.
Yes.
Same stuff.
Same stuff. And we went from 179 clients to 5,000.
Whoa, congratulations.
And growing. But we're dialed in now. We know what we're doing. We get 400 plus new patients a month. We were getting 10.
So what is the device like? Tell me, what was it?
Well, it's the commonality. The devices are cool. I think it's a marriage of the devices that are needed, because expecting moms have swollen legs and feet. They got aches and pains, and they got lower back pain. Here's the thing. When you're pregnant, you can't take anything beyond Benadryl. So you're looking for relief. You're looking for relief. And we were able to craft a compelling message and also create a platform, which is probably my biggest thing. I created a platform that enables them to get access to this stuff within 5 minutes. Well, it takes them 5 minutes on their time. They can do it from the cell phone. They can do it from the work computer. They can share the link with their friends. And then the piece that I'm really, really, really proud of beyond that, Jason, is that because we grew the business initially by doing health fairs, touching people on the shoulder. When I got back from being married, or from getting married, from being married, I'm still married. When I got back from our honeymoon, man, I did 42 health fairs. You talk about a motivated man. I had a wife and a child on the way. I did 42 from May to November. I was never home on the weekends. I was always working. And that model worked, but then of course we had this thing called the pandemic that shifted us. So during that time, I took whatever my gains were, and I had to go play in the digital strategy sandbox and figure out how to obtain patients off the internet. And I know what I'm doing.
You figured it out.
I figured it out.
So I want to ask you this question, because you've obviously built a very successful brand with successful products that you're gaining clients in ways that it's not even a 10 times multiple. It's significantly higher than what you used to do before. So how do you define the word success?
Man, success is, to me, honestly, it's more about your time than your money. Whatever it is, I love the fact that now when I'm talking to my wife, it's, well, do we have time to go do this? It's not a matter of the money. It's a matter of the time. Because we don't get that back. That second that just happened, it's never coming back, right? So for me, business and money, like I have everything that I want, Now it's about, ensuring the success of my wife, my son, my soon-to-be-born child, my immediate family. It's taking care of people. And that's what I like to do with money, is I like to take it and insulate my family and do things to help us be better. But it's more about the time, Can we go spend 2 weeks in Florida? Yes, we can. Because we have done the work to create the resources. And now we have the time. We control our time. And we choose what we do with our time. So for me, that's success. It used to be the simple version for decades with me. Jason was, it's Tuesday. The weather forecast today is calling for snow. Babe, would you like to go to Florida? Yes. Okay. The car will be here in 15 minutes. We'll be at the airport in 25. We'll buy a ticket at the desk and go. Man, that's life.
Yeah.
Like that's life. That's freedom.
I love that your success definition is around time, because I teach my clients, my coaching clients, this all the time. I talk about this all the time, is that I want to be in the business of trading. I want to spend renewable resources to get non-renewable resources. A renewable resource is money. The dollar I spend today, I can get tomorrow. I can get 10 more tomorrow. Mm-hmm. But the time I spend today, I can't get back tomorrow. It's a non-renewable resources. So as entrepreneurs, we need to learn what you just said is the key to success is you got to figure out how to get time. And if you can invest money to get time, you should do it every single time. Yeah.
And, I think my initial lesson on that, my mother told me this, and I was mortified because I couldn't believe I was like this early on. But my dad, we had 2 acres of grass that I had to cut with a push mower, starting at the acres uphill with pine trees and stuff. Like, it was bad. Going up under a pine tree, everything crawling on you. She told me that I had paid one of my neighbors to cut our grass when I was like 10 or 11. I was like, I was negotiating back then. But I mean, listen, it took me 2 days. But I gave that guy some money. He had a riding lawnmower. It took him 2 hours. I go back and weed it around the edges because I was saving a little money. But time, man,
Time's the most important
it's the
commodity.
most important thing.
Well, I love that you've built a life around your business that you can live what I call the exit lifestyles, being able to leave when you want, and go where you want, with whom you want, whenever you want. I love that you've done that, because that's the central message of my coaching platform is exit without exiting. How do you figure out how to build a business where time is at your disposal rather than being a slave to that? So this is the root of all success. And I love your definition of success. So let me ask you, and I think I know the answer to this. With your definition of success, do you consider yourself to be successful?
You know what? It ebbs and flows, right? Peaks and valleys. But I can tell you on my main timeline, I'm uber successful because I'm not getting up at 5 a.m. If I'm getting up at 5 a.m., it's because my son's up, right? It's not because I have this pressing deadline that I gotta meet or I gotta have this meeting at 7 o'clock. For what? I like to sleep. And what's the point of working if you're stressful, man? I'm in that age now where people are dying. Like, people are dying all the time, and my thing is, am I gonna be a multi-billionaire? That was never my goal. My goal was when my son, we go to Hawaii, can he bring Johnny? And it's a matter of whether or not Johnny's parents will let him go, not a matter of how much it costs. That's where I'm at. That's where I want to be. The other stuff, it doesn't, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I love that.
So I feel very successful right now.
And I love the confidence in that too. It's funny because I ask that question to almost every guest, and I think I get about 50%, like you answered, absolutely 100%, like bam, and then the other 50%, they pause and certainly it's actual humility. It's not a contrived or fake, but they're like, man, maybe, kind of. But when we finish the conversation, like, yeah, actually I am, because you wouldn't be on the show. This show is about interviewing successful people, and really success is in your definition of success is the only one that matters. Because if I define success as X, and that's what I'm aiming for, but you don't think that's success, then it doesn't matter. But let me kind of dig in a little bit, Alphonso, because talking with Alphonso Harvey, Music City Med, built an amazing business, helped to moms. So what I want to ask you now is what I've been asking entrepreneurs for the last decade or so. As I became a successful entrepreneur, I wanted to know, how did other people do it? And so I started asking these questions, whether it was here at the club over a glass of bourbon, or if it was at dinner or somewhere. And just getting in rooms with people like you and say, well, how did you do it? And just casual conversations. And what I discovered is that there are these 5 keys that I saw that every single one of them were using. Every single one, they unlocked the door of success with one of these, or multiple of these 5 keys. So I want to talk about those 5 keys and see how it played into your story.
Okay.
So here's the first one that I discovered. And I believe it's the most important, but it's not in isolation. It's not a key that can be used by itself. And that's passion. And what most people think when I say that passion is a key to success is they think, well, you got to love it and be excited about it. And while I think the loving it and being excited about that emotional side is a contributing factor, the key part of passion is what the word actually means, which means willing to endure. If you go back and look at the word passion, where it came from, it means willing to endure, which is why the Passion of the Christ, the Passion Week, is called that. I was a pastor for 13 years, never knew why we called it that. It's like, he doesn't seem very happy to me. I don't understand why we're calling it that. But when I learned what the word actually means, that makes sense. So what I'm saying is, and what I found, and I think it's true in your story too, is that your willingness to endure for the thing you're building is a key to your ability to succeed. What do you think?
1,000%. I believe in delayed gratification, and I've been a practitioner of it. And I've been a caretaker of my dreams. People have this thought that you don't have to go through hardship. My father was a pastor for 52 years.
Really?
Yes, to his dying day. And one of the lessons that my wife always reflects on what she thinks about my dad is when I would go out and do those 42 health fairs, well, you got to get your mule out the ditch, right? We're not on, life ain't sweet. We got things to do. We got work to do. And regardless of how you're feeling, because them 42 events, if you know health fairs, you know they're on Saturdays and Fridays. They're on the days when you want to hang out, do cool stuff. You know, I was committed, like supremely committed, because I had a dream that I knew was going to work. And I knew that my wife was behind it. And I knew that this could be a transformational thing for me and mine. So you talking about passionate, it didn't matter. My car was unusable for any other thing but health fairs because it had stuff in the trunk all the time. I was ready to demo and educate and explain and walk people through it. And we were doing paper records. So, you know, on a successful day with 29, 30 people would sign up, man, I'm undoing paper and scanning with one of those neat desk scanners. You remember those?
Oh, I do.
Each page and each packet got 8 pages. I got 29 clients. Man, I just don't quit. I just keep going. So
Willingness to endure.
yeah,
Because you had a wife
Yeah.
and a kid on the way.
yeah.
Like, I'm going to make this work, man.
Oh, it's gonna work.
Yeah.
I have no, and I think a lot of times, like entrepreneurs, let me pause and say, man, I don't have a lot of patience for people that say they're entrepreneurs and they're doing 16 things. Dude, that ain't how this works. If this thing doesn't get you up out of bed at night because you're inspired when you're getting going and you're figuring out stuff, you got too much other stuff jamming your wavelengths, man. You got too much other stuff going on. You're not committed. So during that time, I was really guarded about my time. So man, I don't have time to talk to y'all. You're not trying like I am. You have nothing to risk because you're still a W-2, man. Somebody's gonna take care of you. I gotta take care of me, of my wife, and my soon-to-be child. I have no bandwidth for anything outside of this realm. Now, if you're in that arena with me, okay, we can talk. Oh, Chase, let's get a drink, man. Oh, how are you feeling today? Man, let me tell you, checking on your strong friends. Me and Jason would do that a lot. But I mean, that passion is absolutely important, man. Like if you don't have it, what dude?
You ain't going to make it.
No,
You ain't gonna make it.
no, you're not going to.
Yeah. Well, so that I really like that perspective that you gave on the passion, and I could see it in your story, especially, doing 42 health fairs over that period of time, not ever seeing, the weekend. What's the weekend? I don't even know what a weekend is. It's a work day for me. So the second key that I found is not only is passion, but it's being at the right place at the right time. And by the way, they all start with P because I was the old pastor. I got to do alliteration. You know what I'm talking about. So passion and place. So right place, right time. And so a lot of people think that means you just you get lucky and you're happen to be at the right place, the right time. And a lot of envious, small-minded people look at successful people like you and go, yeah, he was lucky, right place, right time. Now that's not. Sometimes that happens, right? But the reality is that you put yourself in the right place. You didn't know what it was, but you put yourself there. So what do you think about it? How did that happen for you?
Man, I'm going to tell you an event that happened. Man, we went and did a health fair in Sudincum Homes here in Nashville. I mean, it was a good event. We got 10, 11 clients, but I made it my business to go talk to every vendor. And there was a vendor right next to us. And man, I just did my normal, hey, I'm Alphonso, we're here, this is what we do. Help the moms, hey. Man, a year later, it's during the pandemic, I'm out walking. I'm on the Greenway. And this lady calls me and she says, hi, I'm such and such. She's like, do you remember me? We were in a booth next to each other. I said, oh yeah, I do. How you doing? Well, I just really remember our conversation. And I work for Department of Health, in this program for expecting moms, and we would love for you to be the provider for our participants. Now, the only reason I got that opportunity was because I was in the arena. I was there, and I valued every time that I went out, right? I went away from my family to try to make something happen, get some kind of advance. Like I learned at UPS, we're gonna close a contract, we're gonna get a reason to come back, we're gonna get a new contact, we getting something. We getting something. And that was my mindset, my mind state. And a year later, I'm literally out walking, Jason, frustrated, trying to blow some steam off. And this lady calls me, and that led to 200 clients. And then I was able to, but more importantly, I was able to say, hey, this is our partner. They trust us to do what we're doing, you know? And so when you talk about being in the right place at the right time, I was everywhere.
Yeah, you were putting yourself
Yes.
in those places.
Yes.
See, this is the thing too. A lot of entrepreneurs who want to do things, they stay isolated. They stay in their bubble. They don't get out and do anything new. They don't. And while I don't agree with the hustle mentality where you just got to hustle, grind all the time, there is a reason and time and season for you to be hustling. But they sit and they wait and they work and they wait and they work. And I'm like, you got to go put yourself out there, man. Join a club. Listen, I made a lot of money by being a member at the Standard. I've made a lot of money by being members of different organizations. Like I used to be a member of a thing called City Current, or it used to be Accelerant, and I'm members of Chambers of Commerce. And I'm paying money and investing time, which is not renewable, to get more opportunities. And so I think the entrepreneurs listening to this, I'm glad that you told your story, because that one conversation with the lady who's next to you competing for the same eyeballs and ears that you were that day, you just went and talked to her, and then a year later you make, I don't know, you don't have to tell how much money you make, but you make a lot of money because of one 10-minute conversation.
And it's still opening doors because of that, you know. I mean, we've just grown our reputation, you know, and I'm like, when people talk to me, I'm like, come back and holler at me after you failed a bunch. You know, and you've gotten to the point where you're okay with the no's. Because if you're not okay with the no's, you're not going to know how to treat that yes. Man, when you give me a yes, I got a whole onboarding system right there from my cell phone. Welcome letter. Here's how we get started. Oh, when can we expect our first transactions? Man, I saw it. I saw it. I lived it. I became numb to it. And now that's what I do with my team is I have to get you got to go through your gauntlet. Because you got to get to the point where, like my whole team was sick this week. I have 5 people that work with me here in Nashville. my director of ops, she was the only one. She was my least strong salesperson when I hired her. But she was my chief of staff then, but she's got promoted. She got promoted because of the base of my company. Everybody needs to be able to communicate the message effectively. Everybody. I don't care what your primary is. Secondarily, we are a sales-based organization. Because if we don't sell stuff, we can't pay for stuff. Can't do any good. We're not a nonprofit. So, you know, I mean,
lots of entrepreneurs run nonprofits.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I don't know what you're doing. You better go drive Uber.
And some do.
I have. I took my wife to the Waldorf Astoria in 2018 off of Amazon Prime because the business was in the toilet. Like I'm like, dude, make no excuse. Get your mule out the ditch, man. Figure it out. Yeah. Ask for help. Have enough humility to know where you are and where you're trying to get to, and then understand which conversations are the most important to have.
So the third key that I found, Alphonso, is that not only is it passion, not only is it being in the right place, right time, but it's knowing the right people. And it's not just the good people in life; it's also the people that are negative influences, both positive and negative. Sometimes it's a single person. I have people sit across the couch from me, sometimes on the show, and they point to one human. They said, this one human was the key to my success. And other times they're like, man, I've got a dozen of people that I could think about. Now, we've mentioned Jason Rigel by name. I would imagine he is one of the right people that helped to promote you. But besides him, and you could tell more of that story, but are there other people that helped you become successful?
I mean, yeah, there are other people. There are people that told me you're not working hard enough, right? And for me being the way I am, I'm like, you have no idea how hard I'm working. But you know what? I'm just gonna work that much harder so that I don't even have to tell you what I'm doing. You're gonna see what I'm doing, right? So I appreciate, as people say, I appreciate the haters. That's not really a hater. That was a motivator. For me, that was a motivator. Definitely my wife, because of her belief in me and being one of the first true supporters of the company. But it's not all positive people that are going to help you. There are people that were negative or that would say, well, why are you doing that? And I'm like, man, if I'm getting that conversation, I'm doing the right thing because they don't understand it, but I'm not selling to my friends. I'm not. I don't. You go on my social media, you won't see a lot of my business stuff. You'll see our community activations because I want people to know about what we're doing for others. But I have a built-in community. I have a whole workforce that's pushing us down the road. So definitely Jason, for a lot of reasons. Not only just put me in this part of the business, but for being someone that I could talk to. Because business owners, entrepreneurs know this is a very lonely place. And then when the world is looking for you for one specific thing, man, you might be struggling with your eyesight. Your back might be hurt. You know, like have people that can really check on you. Like me and him, we worry about our health. Hey dude, go to the doctor. Hey dude, like it's way deeper than just the money. I used to be excited to have a conversation about the money until it's like, we're making money. Okay, so what else are we doing? He has a child. Our children are a couple months apart. Now I'm going to birthday parties, man. Like, how are we gonna get these kids growing up together, man? Like, he's super important to me.
That's good.
Yeah.
And I think back to in my story, there are people that I can point to. My wife being one of the greatest.
Your wife's awesome.
And yeah, she is.
She made my wife feel really comfortable at that.
Yeah, well, she's the nicest person on the planet Earth.
Yeah.
And she sometimes does stuff. She goes, "You still think I'm nice?" I'm like, "Well, except for that, like, you're the nicest person." But she's one of the people in my life. And I think back there's also some negative influences. There are people that did terrible things to me and that put me in terrible positions, or haters like you talked about, that motivated me to be who I am today. And I think success that key of success, knowing the right people, is not just what you think it is. It's not Daddy Warbucks going to show up and hand you money and say, good luck. It's little relationships. I mean, you were friends with Jason before you even knew this thing existed.
In college.
Yeah.
I got memories of him with a, man.
Oh, now don't tell his stories.
Man, I just smile and think about how far we've come.
Yeah. I don't remember which episode it is, but for the listeners, Jason Rigel was a guest on my show months ago. They need to go back and listen to that show. He's
super interesting.
So the fourth key, they're all P's, but the fourth key is preparation. And you said something interesting in your story about being a club and party promoter in college and how it prepared you for this. And when you said it, I was like, okay, I know what I'm going to talk about there. But I believe that the keys to success include preparation. You can't be successful in something you're not prepared for.
Right.
And you were prepared even in a way that you didn't expect.
Right.
So what do you think about that?
So, I mean, it's creating building blocks, repeatable, formulaic building blocks. I even share this with some of my younger mentees now. It's like, dude, you're not reinventing the wheel every time. You got a hub and a spoke. Now, the tire may change because of the terrain, but it's hub, spoke, you got a rim, dude. Like, make that solid so that you don't have to think about it. Just how you're going to pepper, how you're going to make this opportunity different. So for me, I learned, I think it's if someone talks to me and I don't judge myself as some grand poobah, but I'm going to tell you, man, if you want to have a business conversation with me, first thing I'm going to ask you is, who's your customer? And for the listeners out there, I'm going to help everybody with the simplest definition I could think of. Think about the person that you sold to the easiest, that wants your mom or dad. That's your customer.
Yeah.
Go find more of those. That's it. Think about who they are, their age, everything about them. Her name's Sarah. She's 29. This is her second child. She's a single mom. She's having to get back on her feet quickly after she gives birth. You know, she makes 45 to 60,000 a year. That's my customer. I know who my customer is. And go find more of them. So that's being prepared. Like you need to know what you're doing. Man, don't be, my customer's there. No, it's not. You're not going to sell to anybody because you don't know who that person is. And you know what? If you haven't been able to sell anything yet, then who will take your free giveaway first?
Yeah.
And then figure out how to market to these people, man. This is not rocket science. We're not going to Mars.
And you learned most of that growing up, and then also, the lawn mowing thing, you told that story, but also as a club promoter, party promoter, learning how to read who you should talk to.
Read the room.
Yeah.
Read the room. And then know who, like for me, a lot of it went back to who you were dating, who's coming to this party and why. Who's your audience, sir, madam? You got to know it.
Well, the fifth key that I found in all these conversations is that of plan, and I only used the word plan because I needed another P word because I was going to say finances, but it was one F and all the rest are P's. But my plan word is the successful entrepreneurs that I've interviewed, casually or formally, they had some sort of ability or plan to deploy financial resources to make their thing work. So, for instance, if you're going to start an aeronautical company, you're going to start a pharmaceutical company, you're going to start anything, there's got to be a plan to finance that thing to get it off the ground. Some people have the luxury of bootstrapping it. That's what I did with my company. Other people have to go get investors. What was your plan to get Music City Med off the ground?
The artist formerly known as my 401k.
That's great. That's great.
I'm telling you, UPS was great to me with the stock match. I was able to take that money and move it into the business, right? And then my wife came aboard and she saw an opportunity to be supportive. So it's really our thing, right? And I love that because she gets to, I take her on the financial meetings and stuff, because I have a whole comptroller and all that stuff now. But, we're seeing you take something that you worked hard for and then put it into something else, and it creates a multiple. Man, I'm here for it. But it was that the artist formerly known as my 401k.
401k. Well,
yeah, man.
There's lots of terrible things about 401ks, but that's one of the good sides of 401k.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Well, entrepreneurs who are listening right now, or entrepreneurs who are listening that have the 401k, they might not know that you can tap into that for reasons like this. So there are ways to do it without the tax consequences as you would otherwise get.
Your local CPA.
Yes, this is not tax advice. Well, let me ask you for this. Speaking of advice, so as we kind of close out our conversation, I want you to talk to the listeners. So on the listener scale, on the spectrum, there's entrepreneurs who haven't done anything yet. They want to, they're listening, they like the idea, but they're W-2 and they're addicted to it, and they can't figure out how to make that leap. And then on the other end, we got super successful 9-figure, entrepreneurs and everybody in between.
Sure.
But I want to talk to that first group. I want you to talk to them because you were at one point the corporate guy and you made a leap for different various reasons, which we've talked about. But what would you say to that listener, to that person who is sitting in their car right now, driving home from work, whatever, walking their dog on the weekend, and they haven't taken the leap? What's your advice as a successful entrepreneur to them?
I would say start today. And you can do it in a semi-comfortable fashion. And what I mean by that is you can take one day out the weekend, and you're 100% committed to being an entrepreneur that day. So, the example I'm using is Saturday we're at the farmer's market. This is what we're doing. And then as that potentially grows and develops, it may replace other days of the week. But you cannot be tepid with entrepreneurism. I'm gonna tell you, And then this is like, don't be that person that comes up to someone that you know does nothing else but what they do, and want to have a conversation with them. Well, I still work over here at X. Well, then go to X, because you will never understand me. I'm in control of my P&L, man. Like, I'm making different decisions than you. So be respectful when you talk to these grizzly, wizened entrepreneurs, because we are thinking about everything. You have the luxury of thinking about specific things because you're a W-2. Nothing wrong with that. Understand that. It's a privileged position because someone is taking care of you. But for us, we're out here like, man, I'm thinking about everything. So be understanding when they don't want to hear your BS, man. Like, they don't want to hear that. Like, talk to me about your Saturday. Hey, we're at the Mercantile because, me and my wife, we make soap in the evening after work. Now you're interested in me because you're committed to doing something. And this is the one day a week you're exhibiting that. But don't talk to me about, my part-time or my hustle. If you say hustle to me, I'm never listening to you again.
Yeah.
This ain't a hustle. This is how I feed my family, man. How I feed my mama, because she's on my payroll. Don't play with me.
Yeah.
I'm not here for your entertainment. Oh, let's go talk to an entrepreneur, the risk taker. I know a risk taker. Nah, dude.
Come back to me when you failed a few times.
Come back. Come back then.
And then we'll talk.
Yeah.
Then we have something in common.
Yeah, because we're not thinking about this thing the same way. And there's nothing wrong with what you're doing, but don't enter in my arena and think you're gonna get in because you bought a ticket. Nah, dude, you gotta train and be prepared and be willing to take on what's right here in front of us.
Well, so people that are listening are going to be impressed with the story. I know I am. So how would people get in touch with you? How would they engage?
Man, I'm around. I do a little bit of LinkedIn. I'll be honest, I just hadn't done a lot of it because it's a lot of people that I don't really need to talk to. From my perspective, that's probably going to change as we add some different iterations of the business. But I'm available. Where the business is at Help to Moms on Instagram.
Help to
T-O, Moms.
Help to Moms.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're helptomoms.com. You can find me at, if you want to email me, I'm Alphonso at helptomoms.
And Alphonso's ALPHONSO. Yeah.
And I'm on my private, no, it's not even private, CEO Harvey is my handle on social media. I would change my moniker because, but I'm cool. I like it.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of cachet on there. So I like to cook. I like to hang out with the family. I like to hang out with my friends. CEO Harvey's a good place to find me.
Well, Alphonso, this has been cool, man. I mean, we've known each other casually here at the club, not intimately, but we've casually known each other. But this has been so cool, hearing your story, and it was really good getting to sit down and have dinner with you and your wife when we were at that event several months ago. But
well, man, we coming to the next bonfire.
You should have been there, man.
Man.
Had like 100 people at the house, man.
Man.
It was crazy.
Jason
brought his entire entourage.
I know. He has an entourage. Yeah, my wife had a concert that night.
Yeah, well, we had a good time. But, next time. Well, thank you for being here. It's been a pleasure and an honor to talk to you and hear your story. Thank you for the transparency and kind of showing us what it's like. And congratulations on your success, man.
Man.
And you got a never-ending supply of customers.
I know.
Look at his face. You got to go watch the YouTube version of that. That's a good clip right there. I know. All right, well, there you have it. Yet another successful entrepreneur who shared his story about how he became successful. And I'm telling you, these 5 keys will unlock the door of success for you. You just got to figure out where they are in your life. It's where are you passionate? Where are you willing to endure for things? What are you putting yourself in the right place? The guy did 42 health fairs in a very short period of time, putting himself in that place, talking to those other vendors at the fair, knowing the right people, being prepared. What is it? There's probably something in your life that you did that you have not yet thought that connects you to success? What is it? What did you do as a kid, as a teenager, as a young adult? What have you done that can prepare you for that? Think about those things and then look at what your plan's going to be, because it takes money to make businesses work. Some people bootstrap it, some people 401k it, and some people go get investors. But whatever it is, you got to have that plan to make that work. That's what this show is about. And I love talking with people like Alphonso. So we're going to continue this conversation every single week here on The Root of All Success. But I want to make an offer to you. So what I do as a coach every single day is I work with entrepreneurs who are already entrepreneurs, but they want to live a better life. They want to have that time. You remember Alphonso was talking early on about how time is his definition of success, or it plays into his definition. I teach entrepreneurs how to exit their business without having to sell it. How do you set a business up that doesn't require you to be in it every day? How do you set up a business to run where you're the owner investor of the business, but not the owner operator of the business? That's what I do. And I run an exit accelerator. It's a group coaching cohort, live coached by me. We do it over 12 weeks by Zoom, 8 sessions, and I only take 12 entrepreneurs at a time. And if you want to be in the next one, all you got to do is go to exitwithoutexiting.com. You can sign up right there, but I'll give you a deal. If, as a listener to the show, if you will DM me at @TheRealJasonDuncan, either on LinkedIn or Instagram, that's where I play most of the time, and you say, I heard you on the show with Alphonso, I want that discount, I'll give you $500 off the next cohort. And we do a cohort model. So it's Exit Accelerator. Go to exitwithoutexiting.com. So thank you for listening today. Tune in again next time when I talk with yet another amazingly successful entrepreneur about his or her journey to success. Until then, I am the real Jason Duncan, and Jesus is King.
Thank you for listening to another edition of The Root of All Success with the real Jason Duncan. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, we invite you to visit therootofallsuccess.com to access the show notes and other helpful resources. Take charge of your business. Grow it from great to incredible. Join us again next time here on The Root of All Success.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.